Hi guys, it's Dylan from Bijou Diamond Jewellery in London with another watch discussion video, and today we're going to have a look at my top 5 Patek Philippe watches. My selection will comprise of watches that I think are iconic for Patek, so therefore they deserve that spot in the top 5, but they'll also have a couple of watches in there that I just really love as well. I've compiled the top 5 taking into account investment and also from what our clients have really enjoyed buying and wearing as well. So yeah, I'm trying to look at it as a whole rather than just looking at it as a Patek lover or Patek fan. Okay, so starting at number 5, we have the 5980/1R-001, which is the bracelet 5980 rose gold. It's one of the most beautifully finished watches in the industry. It's stunning. If you haven't seen my review on this watch, then go check that out, because that will give you a much more in-depth look at the piece and the finishing and the features of that watch. Whereas I'll just discuss some basics on it now. But yeah, it's an incredibly finished watch. It's extremely comfortable as well. It's got a flyback chronograph, which is quite rare on watches now. Usually only kind of a bit more advanced watches like Richard Mille's have flyback chronographs. So it's rare to find it on a more dressy sports watch like a Patek Philippe. But I put it at number 5, not only just because it's stunning and beautifully finished and looks incredible on the wrist and also really comfortable, but actually because it's the most successful investment Patek Philippe. Around a year ago, we sold quite a few of those last year to different clients, and they're going between the £50,000 and £60,000 mark back then. And now they're going for around £87,000. So the price has massively increased. The aftermarket value of these watches has gone absolutely crazy. I put that at number 5 because it's just such a brilliant investment. It's a beautiful watch. It feels extremely special when you put that watch on. It's very, very different to like a rose gold Daytona, which is Rolex's equivalent of this watch. And maybe like a Royal chronograph from Audemars Piguet, which is obviously the Audemars Piguet equivalent. There's just something really special about the Nautilus, or this specific 5980 Nautilus. And especially being in that rose gold, the Patek Philippe rose gold is one of the nicest rose gold. It's got a little bit more yellow rather than like the pink that Rolex offers. If you ever get to see this watch in real life, you'll really appreciate how special that watch is. And I chose this one over the leather one purely because the bracelet is stunning on this watch, and it's definitely worth having it on the bracelet. But also I prefer the dial on the bracelet version versus the sub-dial, or different coloured sub-dial that you have on the leather. All our clients that own this watch absolutely love it, and several of them actually bought it as like a dress watch version, so something they would wear not so often and have other watches for everyday use. But a couple of our clients have literally not taken this watch off their wrist. They wear it every day, all day, and they have totally fallen in love with this piece. I think it's a great piece in the fact that you've got the versatility of it looking incredibly smart and dressy, being a Patek and also in rose gold, and that incredible case finishing, but also the fact it is a sports watch and has that sporty bracelet and design makes it wearable with just t-shirt and jeans and a little bit more of a casual look. So it is incredibly versatile in that respect. Probably one of the most versatile Pateks there are. Next watch at number 4 is the 5296G, but I'm actually just going to group it into the Calatrava, but mainly the 5296. It's one of my favorite Pateks. It's incredibly simple design. For me, in a way, it's kind of the perfect classic Patek Philippe. You can't really get any more cleaner design than that. Those 3 hands. I quite like the sector dial, which is a little bit more of a busy design, but the 5296G-10 is a very, very simple watch. That in rose gold or the white gold is stunning. I personally prefer the white gold because I think it's just a little bit more stealthy and looks a little bit more under the radar. Like, for me, this is what that watch is about anyway. It's not really about shouting out, hey look, I've got an expensive watch. It's a very, very simple watch that's beautifully finished and it's just a timeless classic. So yeah, for me, the white gold suits a little bit better. The watch is totally timeless. Like I said, it's going to be in fashion for hundreds and hundreds of years, and has been in fashion for hundreds of years. It's incredibly clean design. I understand that probably in today's standards, where most people wear sports watches, this watch is maybe a little bit too much on the dressy side for most. For me, in my opinion, I think the 5296 is one of the best dress watches in the whole entire industry. In terms of just simple, clean design dress watches, the 3-hand design. I don't think you can get any more pure and classic than a simple Calatrava. and for me, definitely that 5296 is the best one. I love the 10, like I said, because it reminds me of the 5396, the annual calendar, but the sector dial for me is probably the one I'd most likely buy, because I just like a little bit more going on the dial, and I love especially the G version, the white gold version that has the blue hands and print on the dial, matching it with that amazing deep navy leather strap as well. Next, at number 3, we have the 5711 in steel with the blue dial. A totally iconic watch. I'm sure many people would have thought I'd put that down at number 1. But the reason why it's sitting here is at number 3, it's an iconic Patek Philippe. Patek has really always been a dress watch company and very classic. And since the release in the 1970s of the Nautilus, that watch has really changed the brand a little bit in a way and made it accessible to more casual market, or people just wanting to wear slightly more casual watches. But they've kept the essence of the brand by keeping it super high finishing. So yeah, for me it's an iconic Patek, and for the majority of the industry as well, it's a very iconic watch in the watchmaking world. The reason why I chose this Nautilus of some of the other Nautiluses for this spot is because the 5711 with the blue dial is actually the truest to the original Nautilus they released back in 1970s. So yeah, that's why I placed it there. I prefer that dial slightly over the white dial. I think the blue, where it fades in towards like a lighter color in the middle from dark on the outside, looks amazing, and the darker blue dial makes the watch appear a little bit smaller, which is perfect for me as I have slightly smaller wrists. The bracelet is a work of art on this watch. It's incredibly comfortable. Every link is made to an amazing level, insane level of case finishing and the finishing on the bracelet. The case is incredible as well. The whole watch is extremely thin at 8.3 millimeters, which is amazing. It's almost as if when you wear it, that the bracelet kind of just continues around with the same thickness to the case. Yeah, it's a really cool watch if you see it in real life. A lot of our clients do find that watch a little bit too thin though, but if you don't mind that sort of thinness compared to today's sports watches, then it's a beautiful watch to own. This is also another one of their amazing investment watches. I don't recommend investing necessarily in specific watches, but there are watches that have gone up in value considerably over the last couple of years. So for example, a 5711 steel back in, or maybe a year or so ago, was probably around the £20,000, around 23, £24,000 mark. And now they're going for 40 grand, around the £40,000 mark, which is insane. They've doubled in a couple of years, and the retail price is £22,800. So to be selling at almost double retail price is amazing. I could go on about the 5711 for a long time, but there's plenty of information out there on the internet about this watch, and I'm sure that everyone who watches this video will probably know about it anyway, so I won't touch on this one too much. But in my opinion, this is one of the best dressy sports watches in the whole industry, along with the Royal Oak Ultra Thin, or Extra Thin now. I love those two watches. Obviously, they're both designed by Gerald Genta back in the 70s, and they're kind of sisters in a way. And yeah, so I don't think you can go wrong with a Nautilus, especially not the classic ultimate, in my opinion, one of the ultimate Nautiluses, which is the 5711. The only reason why I didn't place it lower down in the list and have it closer to sort of number 1 or 2 is the watch only came out in the 1970s, and it was a copy really in a way of the Royal Oak, and kind of came off the success of the Royal Oak. So for me, it's not necessarily a true Patek. It doesn't have the heritage that all these other Pateks have. You know, there's Pateks that were around more than 100 years before this one. So I think, in my opinion, it's better to be looking at amazing watches back then and the kind of true Pateks that have been around for many, many years and have developed over time, rather than giving the number 1 spot to kind of the obvious watch, like the most popular Patek at the moment. But next, at number 2, we have the annual calendar, and there's 3 different variations of the annual calendar that I'd like to put down there. But the annual calendar complication was released or invented by Patek Philippe in 1996. So I don't think you get much more Patek than a Patek invention. They released the annual calendar, or patented or created that movement, because it meant that people who wanted that moon phase and the day and the date functions, and also the month, to be able to afford that watch without having to pay for a really expensive perpetual calendar, which is much more money. They wanted to offer that same look and same slight functionality that the perpetual calendars offer, but for a lot less money. and that's what they brought to us with the annual calendar. The only difference between the perpetual and the annual is that you don't have to adjust the, well, you have to adjust the perpetual calendar once every 100 years, but you have to adjust your annual calendar once every year. So there's obviously not quite the same complexity as there is within a perpetual calendar, but at the same time it's still an incredible looking watch, and it's still an amazing feat in terms of movement as well. And the three models that I've picked are the 5396 G or R. I love the G mostly because it's just a little bit more understated. I like the white dial. I love the iconic look to the Patek with those apertures showing your day and date and month. It's also quite a famous watch for Patek at the moment. They market it quite a lot. In fact, some of the wall clocks and things they put outside the boutiques, the clocks they put outside the boutiques on the street, actually featured this same design. And it's a pretty iconic sort of setup on the dial. If you look back in time to 1941 and look at the reference 1526 from Patek, it has a very similar design to that. And that was actually the first ever, or the world's first production perpetual calendar wristwatch. So they've kept the design pretty similar since back then. So yeah, for me that means it has to sit somewhere down at number 2 because it's just truly Patek. I love the 5396, like I said, either in the G with the white dial, or I like the rose gold version with the white dial as well. I think the rose gold in a way is a little bit more special and suits this watch. I think if you have the white, that very fresh white dial with the white gold can make the watch look a little bit big. It was actually one of my favorite watches, but I tried it on and it just felt a little bit too big for me. So for that reason, I feel like the rose would sort of tone that down a little bit and make the watch feel a little bit smaller. But if you've got big wrists, then the white gold is really nice. And obviously the white gold is a little bit more stealthy and understated as well. Next watch within the annual calendar lineup is the 5205. I'd either have that in the G, the -13 dial, which is the new blue dial that we saw at Basel 2018. That is a truly stunning watch. I love the way that the blue, or it's like a sunburst effect on the dial, laser etched. But I love the way the blue fades from a really deep navy on the outside of the dial to a much lighter blue in the center. Again, we've got similar setup in a way to the apertures. So we've got our date, our day, date, and month, and we've got our little sub dial at 6 o'clock with our 24-hour indicator and obviously our moon phase. So yeah, it's a stunning watch. I love the blue, definitely with this deep navy strap as well. It's amazing, that combination with the blue dial and the blue strap. It's a very smart looking watch, this variation. I love the fact, well, I wear a lot of navy and blue, and so this watch would go with everything I have anyway. But another amazing thing about this piece is the actual design of the case is amazing. The design is totally beautiful. It's totally different to all their other cases. It's kind of got this scooped out bezel on it, and the actual lugs are scooped out as well. It's amazing looking. If you get a chance to see one in real life, it's almost like unreal. When you see the watch from the front, it looks very normal, but the moment you turn it on the side and look from the crown side or the other side, it looks really amazing. It's a very unique design. And another variation of this watch that I really like is the rose gold with the black dial. I love the contrast on that watch. I love the rose gold and black combination, and I always have loved that combination. I personally prefer the slightly more understated white gold for this watch, and Patek Philippe's in general, especially for dress watches, but this is a beautiful, beautiful looking watch. I love the black on the black with the dial and the strap. Yeah, overall such a cool watch, this one. Final watch part of our annual calendar series is the 5146. And I love this piece, especially in the platinum, because it's got slightly more simple dial versus the gold versions, which have big numerals. The case for me on the 5146 is the best case that Patek has ever made. It's the most perfect case. It fits my wrist personally, the best of all cases. I absolutely love it. It's just so perfect. The lines are just so flowing, and yeah, it's amazing when you see it in real life and you look at how they've machined it. It is really a beautiful watch, and you can definitely tell it's been finished to the highest level possible. I also love the fact it's got a power reserve indicator on this watch as well. That's really useful, especially when you're winding the watch in the morning, or if you haven't worn it for a little bit of time. It's good just to check that you're not over winding the piece. It's nice to be able to have that feature there just so you can double check. Another annual calendar that I could put in there but I didn't, I just thought I'd mention it now. But for those of you who really, really like the Nautilus, then you can have a look at the 5726, which is a great looking watch, but personally I just prefer the more classic dress watches versus the sporty versions. At number 1 we have the 5204P-001. That is my favorite watch ever in the whole world. If you've seen my dream watch collection video, you can see that I absolutely, totally am in love with that watch. For 2 reasons, well actually several reasons, but 2 of the main reasons are the actual complications that a watch features. The first being the perpetual calendar, which is just iconic Patek Philippe. Patek Philippe have made annual calendars since 1889, which is amazing to think about. And then the first actual wristwatch perpetual calendar, like I said before, was in 1941, the 1526. So I thought for number 1 spot, it really has to be a perpetual calendar for it to be iconic Patek. And obviously it has to be a grand complication as well. Another one of my favorite complications in the watchmaking industry is a split-second chronograph. I love the look when those second-hand splits, and it kind of looks like an old instrument on an old car or steam train or something. Yeah, it just looks very special, and Patek have been making split-second chronographs since 1880, which is amazing to think as well. First wristwatch to feature a split-second chronograph was in 1923, so both are extremely far back in Patek Philippe's history line or timeline, and so they've been doing these watches for many, many years, and that's why I felt the number 1 spot for this Patek Philippe lineup really has to have something that's true and interwoven in their DNA and their history. For me, the look of this watch is totally and utterly Patek Philippe. Perpetual calendar, those subdials, the split-second chronos, the actual case finishing, the case dimensions, the way the watch looks is pure Patek Philippe to me. I absolutely love this piece, and I think everyone can agree with me, this is an extremely special watch. I could have picked a 5270, which in a way is a very similar look and also does really reflect on a true Patek look, in my opinion. When I think of a Patek Philippe, I think of that kind of 5204 or 5270. The reason why I went for the 5204 is because it's a little bit more special. There's a little bit more going on, and it's a true grand complication. But it also has a slightly better case, in my opinion. I much prefer the case on the 5204 versus the 5270. 5270 is quite big and chunky and not as elegant as the 5204. But both watches are truly beautiful, and the movement in these watches is absolutely stunning. That's a true work of art. The finishing is amazing. I love it so much. If you get the honor to see this watch in real life, you'll be mesmerized. I saw this watch a few months ago in platinum, the black dial version, and it was absolutely amazing. I sat there and stared with a loop at the movement for a long time, and it was, yeah, it's a beautiful watch. If you get the chance to see it, it's an amazing thing to see. It's a true work of art. The finishing on all the screw heads and all the bridges and everything inside the movement is amazing, and the way the light shines off that movement is incredible. For me, this watch really has to be in platinum. Like I said, my favorite variation is the original one they launched this watch with, which features a white silvery creamy dial and black gold hands and markers. I love the contrast that those black gold markers go against the white dial, and it means that watch is legible for a long time, especially when your eyes deteriorate. Darker dial watches like the 5146 that we looked at, that has not so much contrast, can be very difficult to read later on in life, or if your eyesight deteriorates, especially also in lower light. Those watches can be extremely hard to see or read. I think the watch really has to be in platinum as well, because that really is one of the ultimate metals for dress watches. It means you can wear that watch every single day, and it's not really, well, the metal won't wear away. You can always polish it back again and it'll be the same watch. It's not like the metal's gonna become less and less and less, and the case will change shape, etc. Platinum is definitely the ultimate dress watch material or metal. It's also obviously the most luxurious, being the most expensive and the most rare. And yeah, the feel of when you feel that watch, the heft and the weight is really incredible. But my favorite thing about platinum is the fact that it's incredibly stealthy. It looks like steel or white gold, and that means that people aren't necessarily going to be attracted to it, or see it, or like they would for gold or rose gold. That's obviously much more blingy and more obvious, and I like the fact that this watch, even though it's incredibly expensive and one of Patek's ultimate watches in the collection, it's actually very stealthy looking. And if you don't really know anything about watches, you would have absolutely no clue that you could probably buy a house with the same amount of money as this watch. Overall, the movement, the dial, everything on this watch is truly magical. And for me, makes that watch actually probably one of the most magical watches in the industry. I understand that people might find it frustrating that I put such a crazy expensive watch at the top of the Patek Philippe top 5 list, but for me this is really the epitome of Patek Philippe. Features some of their most iconic complications, and they really have made this model one of the best models or watches available in the whole watch industry. Thanks guys for watching. Let us know in the comments what you think of this top 5. What changes would you make to this top 5 lineup? Let me know also what other top 5 lineups you'd like me to do for other brands. And as always, if you like any of the watches mentioned in this video, then don't hesitate to contact us. We occasionally have Patek Philippe's in stock, and if we don't have the model you're after, we can always order that in for you.